president talked about quite a number of things in his maiden media chat yesterday, and energy, of course, featured largely in that conversation. Talk about subsidy removal, the impact of that, how, well, that has translated into other issues. But this morning, we're taking a look, or taking a step back. We just want to talk about innovations, really, because that's where the world is right now. You can't keep doing the same things and expect a different result. They say that is really insanity. So what are some of the innovations that we could key into as a nation, such that we don't keep having a headache about energy, which, by the way, we have in abundance? We're joined on the program this morning by someone who's leading in that light when it comes to innovation in the energy sector. Dr. Enioko is a senior lecturer, School of Engineering, Newcastle University, and winner of the NLNG Science Prize. You're welcome to the Morning Brief, Dr. Oko.
Welcome. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Your project, the project you worked on with your colleagues, let me see if I can get the title right. It's basically about repurposing CO2. So when you have emissions from factories, they come out, they're meant to pollute the atmosphere, ruin the environment. But you've come up with some sort of innovation that repurposes the CO2, and you can then use that to mix it with hydrogen, if I'm correct, if my chemistry classes still sound. Do some hydrogen mixing, and then you get that back into methanol, which you can use to blend other material. Just speak to us about the kind of innovation that you have worked on and how that is applicable to Nigeria. I know you talked about how it can save us millions of dollars. So maybe, just maybe, if the government is not looking into this. So I'd like you to walk us through this morning, Dr. Oko.
Yeah, thank you so much. The innovation that we had for the NLNG prize is actually looking at capturing CO2 from emission sources, and as you rightly observed, and converting CO2 to methanol, which could be used as a feedstock for fuel blending. The main thing in our innovation is actually integrating so many things. I don't want to sound too technical, but essentially integrating two important processes, which is electrochemical water splitting and also CO2 stripping from solvent. So our system integrated these two processes into one unit, what we refer to as process intensification. The point of that is that it will help drive costs down for this type of technology, making it more attractive for commercial implementation. So for Nigeria, exactly, it's of course comes very handy because energy crisis is something that has been with us for a while, and this could help address that problem. And more importantly, it could also help homegrown energy production, helping us rely less on imported energy, etc.
So, Mr. Oko, beyond you winning this NLNG prize for science, what can be done to galvanize the innovation that you bring to the table such that households can benefit from it and, have alternative power solutions beyond connections to the ever-failing power grid? And this question is important because we just talked about a young Nigerian who has led the research for a cancer vaccine in Russia, and Nigerians are reacting to that development, relating it to, the lack of an ideal environment back home to encourage such expressions to thrive. So how long are we going to wait before Russia or the West, comes to harvest you from Nigeria and takes advantage of what you have done?
In terms of how long that will wait before this could become commercially available, it's a development that is in progress as we speak. Some aspects of it are already being taken up by some companies that we currently collaborate with here in the UK. And some aspects of it are still at very early stage research. Research is not something that you could completely predict the final outcome, but we could see that the end is quite promising. In terms of how we can really pull Nigerians together, it's really about collaborating with industries, getting government support, and of course, more importantly, working with universities. From our end, we are leading the way in that, because we have a European Union grant that is led by myself, and we have 2 Nigerian organizations that are collaborating with us on that project. That project is a 5-year project, and the expectation is that by the end of that 5-year window, we could actually get to the point where this technology can progress to market readiness.
So if you were to make recommendation in terms of policy direction for the government to support some of these ideas, these innovative ideas, that is quite crucial for things like power, because we've always said that no matter how innovative the government wants to be, no matter the big plan, without power at the backbone, it is not going to be as effective and as efficient as everyone would anticipate it to be. So in terms of policy, are you seeing the policy that supports some of these ideas? And if there are none or not sufficient, what other would you want to see?
Like many experienced people that talk on policy will always say, Nigeria is not entirely short on policy. That's what I think. Nigeria is not entirely short on policy. I think where we are incredibly lacking is the implementation of this policy, or just having the sort of environment that we make these policies work and deliver the sort of impact that we expect that they will deliver. So just talking about the power outages and the grid failures and the rest of them, all of you, I'm sure, are aware of all the various government policies that have come on in the last 10 years, for instance, and most of these policies are all, moving towards helping us have a more stable electricity grid. But it looks like the electricity grid collapse has gotten worse in the past 1 year, thereabout. The past 1 year we have had, in 2024, we've had on average of 1 collapse per month. So when you look at that, you see that most of the policies that government had come up with, which could have helped, which could have contributed in addressing some of these problems, have not really been taken up as you would expect. So an example is the feed-in tariff system. The feed-in tariff system came on, I think, under President Buhari's government in 2016. And I don't think that is quite in operation. The feed-in tariff system just allows small energy producing companies from renewable sources, for instance, to be able to feed in their energy into the grid without going through the traditional bidding process that more bigger companies go through. But that isn't something that people are taking up. And you would wonder, is it that there is no strong business case for this? Or is it that the government is not providing the sort of support that is required to get this system to work? But yeah, that's where we are. The policy gaps are quite there. In terms of the grid, we need more investments in energy storage, grid-scale energy storage technologies that could help provide some resilience within our electricity grid, provide sufficient redundancy that can help the electricity grid to respond to shortfalls in supply. Yeah.
All right. They always say that problems are just opportunities for innovations, opportunities for ideas, people to thrive. So problems are not bad in themselves. It's just some sort of environment, perfect environment for the right person to just solve the issues. But I like to still do some comparison or just speak pointedly to the issues because we see these things happen in other climes. I mean, you, for example, in the climb you're in, you see how the system operates, how the system is able to maybe innovate and ensure that it's efficient and it's, optimized from time to time. So when you come back to our own climb, is it a challenge of first the cost? Because technology is expensive, right? So all of this technology we're talking about, even your own project is quite expensive to bring to fruition. So is it in terms of cost? By the time you convert the naira to the dollar or the pounds, you realize that, you need a lot more to be able to secure the technology or to foster that kind of environment where innovation is just second nature on the one hand. Is it as a result of the bottlenecks, secondly? And the most important point is, from what you've seen of this government in the past 1+ years, is this government welcoming enough for those sorts of innovations such that you can say, well, I want to come back home and establish these things, these innovations I've built. I want to come back home and ensure that it is really, imbibed into our sectors. Is that something that you're seeing from this government?
Before I talk about the government, there are in Nigeria, the smart grid, for instance, is a very interesting innovation which has been embraced in the West as a way of ensuring that you have a resilient electricity grid. Because believe me, electricity grid everywhere in the world are subject to collapse. So to avoid that, the operators need to be very intentional about that. And smart grid system is just one of such response. In the case of Nigeria, where we now have the potential to collect data, because smart grid is just a data-based kind of planning system. Database planning and management and grid management system, where you collect data from end users and data from the producers, etc. In Nigeria, for instance, we have the prepaid meter, which could potentially generate some of this live data, but that is only available to a very small proportion of electricity users across Nigeria. So even if the system operator in Nigeria is doing their best, they've launched SCADA system that is helping them collect data, but that is still going to be very limited. My recommendation is that they could use historical data and build intelligent models, and these intelligent models can then help them understand all the failure scenarios, help them understand how the various factors that contribute to the failure scenarios, come together. And this could help in redesigning the grid and, helping build some resilience into the grid, etc. Then, as for the government, I think the current administration, President Tinubu's administration, have been very big on reform, and reform that has been across board, reforms that are to the point that they become a pain sort of to Nigeria. But big reforms are always going to be a pain. It doesn't matter who leads it. Whoever sets out to bring about big reforms anywhere in the world, it was always going to come with lots of pains. But the reforms in themselves, hoping that everything is being pursued in good faith, for me is an indication that the government have interest in bringing about change, in helping us move away from what used to be the scenario in the past. So my assessment will be is that they are very much ready for business, as we can see, and the government appears to have a lot of support for particularly the electricity sector, for instance, with the removal of the electricity subsidy and several other changes that have taken place in the sector. So that could drive real change. That could help, improve the business case for investors. Yeah.
Well, it's good you say that. I know that there are those who may disagree with you on that point, but I think the big picture should be, hey, for all the Nigerians doing great things out there, let's have those great things happen here as well. And I really hope that the government is sensitive enough and wise enough to ensure that there's a thriving environment for all of them. Thank you for the great work you do. Look forward to even greater things. I will be speaking with Dr. Enioko, winner of NLNG Science Prize, Senior Lecturer, School of Engineering, Newcastle University. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
We'll take a moment now, and when we return, we call it Dirty December in Lagos, but there are other fun spots that you can visit. So right now, or in the next few seconds, we'll open your eyes to them. So stay with us.